I'm here to welcome Dave Ramsey, and you can go to D.B.Ramsey.com to find information about his book. We're going to talk a little bit about your past, how you got from there to here, what your thoughts are, what your book's about, and then we're going to go on and take callers. So, Dave, you're like you were a preacher for 10 years and, studied and got degrees and all this, and I'm just a duffer. So how'd you get from there to here?
Well, Matt, you're probably smarter than I am. It took me, almost 11 years of formal academic study of religion to arrive at my agnosticism. But essentially, that's how I got here. I was both the study of religion in an academic setting. Some of it was life experience, losing a dad at 12, and the well-intentioned but terribly misguided chants of a church that went from saying your dad has been healed to everything happens for a reason, God must have needed your dad. I was a senior minister of two Baptist congregations in Virginia. And at the age of 35, I walked away and started my life over again. And I've never looked back, no regrets. And my book is about my journey. I also take on some very popular, but I think horrible theological sayings like everything happens for a reason, it was his time to go, God has a plan for your life, are just a few of the topics that I take on in the book.
Did you get, now you and I both come from a primarily Baptist background. I was primarily Southern Baptist, occasionally attended like Pentecostal churches, but we're talking a little bit about the sayings that you mentioned that you have some objection to. I just did a couple of videos about common sayings that actually aren't in the Bible, like love the sinner, hate the sin. That's not in the Bible.
Yeah.
Somebody else, I think it was the Transformed Wife the other day, posted that the Bible says abortion is murder. The Bible doesn't mention abortion at all. It's silent on the issue, even provides essentially a recipe for an abortifacient. If you suspect that your woman has been cheating on you, you pour this concoction down their throat, and whether or not it causes a miscarriage or abortion or just results in sterility, it's still this barbaric notion that women are second tier, that they're property, that somehow they could have been defiled, but you can have as many wives and a harem of concubines as you want. And so going through these statements that aren't really part of religion, one of them, I'm leading up to this. Did you hear after the loss of your father that God needed a new angel in heaven? Because I keep hearing that, but it seems to be more of a Catholic thing. And so I only ever hear it from Catholic relatives.
Oh, Matt, no, I heard it more than once. And, at the time, you're 12 years old. You haven't developed critical thinking yet. You believe what people tell you, particularly people in a church. But, looking back, what God needs a 46-year-old man more than a 12-year-old son? It just doesn't pass the sniff test. It was not offered in a cruel way, but it's experienced in a cruel way. And it's a side of God that eventually rejected. If there is a God, and that's the way that God works, that's a God that I want nothing to do with.
And the other thing is, there's nothing biblical about people being turned into angels. Angels are, from the standpoint of the Bible, they're not humans, and they're not something that was derived from human. They existed before humans. They're basically God's little servants.
Well, they're part of the mythology of the Bible. Let's face it.
Yeah.
I think the Bible is largely myth, as is Christianity. But people find meaning in myth, and people sometimes literalize myth. But didn't work for me.
Now, at some point, how long ago did you write your book? Speaking of God, we don't know shit.
I probably wrote it. I started writing it about a year and a half ago, and it went on sale October the 6th. It's been in my head for years, though, Matt. The premise has been in my head, and some of the other chapters. And I finally started writing about a year and a half ago, and then finally it launched in October.
Yeah, I have multiple books in my head. If I ever get any of them down on paper, I'll be impressed. But I'm continuing to work on it. So what has been, obviously we managed to get you here on Atheist Experience to take calls and talk a little bit about the book. But since the book's been out such a short time, what's the reception been like? And, are you hitting up a bunch of other podcasts? Am I going to hear you, on the Thinking Atheist and all this in the near future as well?
Yeah, so I've been pleasantly surprised. I'm a nobody. No one knew me. I had no media presence. I worked with a publicist to build one. But the book's only been on sale for less than 2 months, and it got as high as number 12 in the agnostic category on Amazon, right beside Sam Harris, who is a towering figure in this genre. I think it was his End of Faith was just to the left of mine at 11. And I think I'm up to 14 5-star reviews on Amazon. No one has panned it yet.
That'll
and
change.
The reviews are, oh, I know. I fully expect it. I fully expect it to be panned, but I'm pleased. My publicist is very pleased and said they are really surprised at how well the book's taken off.
Well, as a reminder to the people in chat, we've provided information. We can go find more. By the way, there's some people in chat commenting that they think you're possessed. So we want to let people know Dave's coming to us live from a hotel with occasionally sketchy Wi-Fi, and so does this really awesome looking ghosty pixelating thing. I'm going to let him fix that really quick as we move on and start to take callers, and we'll come back. I want to make sure we get to callers that might have specific questions for Dave, both from his history and after finishing the book, etc.